Hello my friends and welcome back to The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings. In yesterday's video, we did free the mind-controlled Saskia and return to Lochmuin to see all of the fallout from the Lodge and their decisions. And we ran into Triss, and now I think we are gonna finish up today because I only have one quest left. And the latest update was the Witcher finally found the Kingslayer. Triss Merigold ran to Geralt, having been freed from the Nilfgaardian's hands by Letho, which was odd, but I'll take it. Geralt was happy, don't get me wrong, but at that moment, his desire to confront the Kingslayer eclipsed all others. The Witcher told his companions that he had private business to attend to and forbade interference and went to see Letho. So that's where we're at. I feel like I skipped over a whole bunch of stuff, but oh well. let's save one last time and go talk to Letho.
Took you a while?
Is that bauble from Sheila's megascope?
Mm-hmm. My final prank. I switched the diamonds. The one in the megascope has a flaw, minute, but just large enough to warp the teleport. The Emperor's magic theorists assured me the effect would be spectacular.
Oh, it was.
Good. Had she lived, she would have suffered more intensely and much longer. She helped me quite a bit, through naivety and pride. I would not have gotten far without her.
So, ready to lay your cards out on the table?
No matter the game, there comes a point when all the players need to show their cards. I love that moment. But first... vodka?
Sure. I think Geralt would have a drink with... I mean, he's kind of an old friend, even if Geralt can't remember, right?
I suppose my throat's a little dry.
In that case, let's drink to old friendships.
There you go. God, I hope he doesn't poison me.
Recovered your memory yet?
Not entirely.
Remember how we first met?
Yeah, I saved your life. Couldn't think of a nicer way to pay me back?
Frankly, I couldn't. I mean, taking care of another man's woman, Yennefer. I can't fathom what you saw in her, but I suppose there's no accounting for taste.
The winter solstice 1270. Midinvern, the night of magic. Letho wasn't lying, the hunt had stopped. At the Hanged Man's Tree, the spectral riders selected from among those they had taken. Yennefer was among them. A wraith cannot be killed, only driven away. Every Witcher knows that. Yet the riders fell beneath the blows of our Witcher's blades. Crimson blood flowed from under their dead men's armor. We could not kill them all. They were simply too many. A stalemate. He was different from all other elves. There was no shame in his gaze. He had never suffered persecution. He had endured no massacres. Humans had not taken his land. This elf was not of this world. He was an invader. We struck a deal. My soul for that of Yennefer. He agreed without hesitation.
Back with me, friend. Got the feeling you left for a minute.
Memories. I remember the Hanged Man's Tree and the Wild Hunt. I remember the exchange. Me for Yennefer.
So, cards out on the table. Unless you chase me all that way just to kill me.
I chased you for many reasons. Let's try that.
I chased you for lots of reasons. You owe me some explanations to start with.
Let's say I do.
Well, let's start at the bottom and make our way up, like usual. What was it all about? What was the aim?
Care to tell me what it was all about?
Kill as many rulers as we could. Lay the blame on the sorceresses. Breed chaos. Prepare the North. Soften it before the invasion. And you know what's incredible? We could not have imagined more fertile soil. No matter what the war's outcome, the northern monarchs will accuse one another. Pursue their God-given rights. Seek vengeance and be at each other's throats for years to come. The North resembles a whorehouse on fire, as your friend Dandelion would say.
I'm still curious about the assassinations. I need to see the whole picture. Yeah, paint me the whole picture. Okay. Let's try... I'll come back to that. Why did you wait for me?
Why are you still here? Why did you wait for me this time?
I knew you wouldn't give up. I knew you'd pursue me. And I don't aim to hide anymore. Fact is, only you know the truth about me. Well, and a couple of folks whose word isn't worth spit anymore. I never saw you as a foe. I want to go my way, but if I have to fight you first, so be it. This story ends here and now.
Why did you become an Imperial spy? I know I keep humming a lot. I'm just kind of... It's very interesting to get to have this conversation. So why did you become an Imperial spy?
How did a Witcher agree to kill humans at another human's bidding?
Yeah.
At the Emperor's bidding, Geralt. And he's no ordinary human. The rulers of the North come up to about where his Pauline's end.
Why?
Simple. He promised to rebuild the School of the Viper, the Witcher's order where I came to be. Witcher's schools in the south fell into ruin long ago, and Witchers themselves became internal exiles, banned from entering most cities. Besides Seret and Ox, I know of 2 other Witchers of the School of the Viper who should be alive and on the path. I don't know where they are. Haven't seen them for years. Now they can come out of hiding. They can come home.
I mean, for reasons for killing kings who may not be the greatest of rulers to begin with, it's not an awful one, is it? I don't know. The Riders of the Hunt, you know who they are.
How did you know where we'd find the Wild Hunt?
Every Witcher who wears the Viper around his neck knows the place. We had so many books and scrolls about the hunt that I used to think our school was founded for the very purpose of solving the riddle of the spectral riders.
Know who they are? You know the true identities of the riders?
From what I understand, they're some damn elven race. But they turned out to be a big ruse. The legendary omen of war proved to be a fairground attraction.
No Market Square mage could possibly conjure up a cavalcade of wraiths speeding across the sky. Then there's the amnesia. No, there's something more, I assure you.
Go ahead, enlighten me. I can tell you want to.
There are a lot of legends and myths about it, but the Wild Hunt is a fact. I've fought and killed many of its wraiths. They were spectral emanations, the avatars of real riders. The riders we ran into by the Hanged Man's Tree.
Are you telling me you were carried off by elves? Real material sons of bitches like the ordinary kind we deal with in this world?
They may be ordinary in their world, but they're strangers in ours. The conjunction of spheres. Know the theory? Do you know how monsters appeared in our world?
There's not a Witcher who doesn't know that.
So you know there are other spheres. The most powerful of our mages can open passages between these worlds, and they usually do that to summon the monsters we then have to hunt. The elves we saw come from another world, and they weren't summoned. They found the way on their own. It's not exactly easy, so they usually send their spectral emanations. They come in person on special missions.
As they did for you and Yennefer. So, elves from another world and their trained wraiths. What did they want from you?
Yeah.
I've got an idea, but that's not your concern.
What? Should I know what the idea is? But yeah, it makes sense. The last memory you had is that they were actually elves, not just like monsters, and they're elves from a different sphere, and they can cross over at certain points, it seems like, you know, when there's a conjunction or when a mage opens a portal or something, but it's all starting to make maybe more sense. But anyway, Yennefer, tell me what happened to her.
Tell me about Yennefer. What happened after I departed?
She was feverish for several days, delirious, in agony. We thought that was it. She was on her way out. Somehow she recovered. But even then she was disoriented. Amnesia like you.
What then?
Well, the woman turned out to be quite a character. Throwing temper tantrums, trying to seduce orcs, trying to drive a wedge between us. After you so nobly sacrificed yourself, we thought it'd be dumb just to leave her somewhere. She wouldn't have survived more than a month. The whims and vigor of a duchess, but she was just a sorceress with no memory. We were in the heart of the Empire. And as I'm sure you know, Geralt, in Nilfgaard, mages who behave like that either drop their bad habits quickly, or are drawn and quartered by horses in the middle of Victory Square.
So I heard.
Yeah.
So we set out, wandered through the provinces. Everywhere we went, she got in trouble and we pulled her out. And then one day they captured us. The Imperial Secret Police. Me, Ox, Serret, and Yennefer.
Imperial Secret Police?
Mm-hmm. We were separated, and they questioned us. Long and thoroughly, but it was uneventful, no violence. That's how I met VAttier de Ridaux, and a couple of weeks later, the Emperor himself. Me. A simple witcher.
What happened to Yennefer?
I don't know. Never saw her again. The Emperor offered me a mission in the northern kingdoms. As for Yennefer, I had the feeling she was somehow important to Emhyr. As I see it, they learned of the Lodge from her. Those Imperial spooks have their ways. All I heard is that VAttier had his men watch Yennefer closely throughout the time she was at the palace. Then we went off to slay the kings of the north. That's where my knowledge ends.
So she's in the Empire.
She was when I left.
Okay, well, let me try this again. What was it all
Care
about?
to tell me what it was all about?
And you know the north.
Okay, and then let's go with, I'm still curious about the assassinations. Wow, whole bunch more. So how did you find Sheila?
How did you manage to contact Sheila?
It wasn't a problem once I learned of the Lodge's existence. Initially, she watched my every move. But sooner or later, everyone starts treating me like a big oaf. I mean, I can't change how I look. I stayed close to Sheila. Killed a few beasts for her, and whined about how unhappy I was, how unfair the world was. So much, in fact, that I actually got her gander up a few times. I made sure a few potentially trustworthy witnesses saw us together, could link us. Security in case I was captured. I also prepared to assassinate the King of Kavir. Esterad Tyson was to be the first victim of the mysterious assassins. But before I could do the dirty deed, Sheila asked me to slay Demavend. The gods had smiled upon me. I couldn't believe my luck. Here I've been trying to figure out how to frame Sheila, and now all I needed was to carry out her orders and follow through.
Huh. And how did you learn about the Lodge?
Where'd you get your information about the Lodge?
From the Emperor and VAttier de Ridaux, the Emperor's chief spy. And I believe they got it out of Yennefer.
Yeah.
She recovered her memory?
Nah. I'd never claim she informed on her friends consciously. I expect they found a way to tap into her memory in spite of her amnesia. and without her knowing it. There was a sorcerer present when I was questioned. A young, proud intelligence officer. Whatever the case, they gave me a list of the sorceresses in the lodge. Only Emhyr, VAttier, and I were present. Only we knew of the mission.
How did you kill Demavend? I know.
How'd you manage to slay Demavend?
Sheila's magic. I mean, she could give us the king's every move. His habits, the positions of the palace guards, anything. All we had to do was navigate the labyrinth and land the final blow. Besides, she had plenty of gold for the preparations. Greased palms abundantly. It had all the makings of a cakewalk. But it's never that easy. We barely avoided our pursuers. And we wouldn't have if not for Iorveth's scoia'tael. Another of Sheila's ideas. With Iorveth's elves, not only did we cut down Demavend, but traveling with them put us out of the lodge's reach. We could calmly plan Foltest's and Henselt's assassinations.
I thought Demavend was the one on the boat, but maybe I got them confused. Well, how did you know Foltest would get to the Solar?
How did you know Foltest would come to the monastery's Solar?
Iorveth and I planned Foltest's murder. The king of Temeria would have to deal with the Lavalette sooner or later, and he made no secret of it. I was sure he'd want to recover his bastard children in the process. And where do they take the children when a castle's under siege? I had to become a monk, but I couldn't just arrive at the monastery and claim I'd seen the light. Not very believable. So one of Arian's patrols out in the forests happened on a scoia'tael unit torturing a helpless monk.
Huh.
Arian's brave men drove off the elves and I found shelter in the monastery.
No one noticed you had no wounds?
I paid the monk who treated me a lot of orange to stay silent. Actually, it was only a loan, because I killed him later. Only the dead can keep a secret. Then all I had to do was wait for the situation to develop. When I saw you enter the chamber with Foltest, I thought I might fail. Luckily, you failed. To recognize an old friend.
The planning in this is like kind of awesome. How to the detail they planned everything out. Okay, you wanted to take over Iorveth's unit. What was the idea?
When did you decide to get rid of Iorveth?
As soon as I realized I couldn't manipulate him. A true fox, that one. He was so observant, so dangerous. I got the sense he might see through me at any moment.
You made a mistake. You were untouchable as long as the scoia'tael were protecting you.
Maybe, but with Iorveth, my hands were tied. If I'd finished off Kieran...
But you didn't. And that allowed me to drive a wedge between you and Iorveth. I forced you to flee.
And I let you live. You know I could have killed you. You're forgetting.
No, I remember.
Yeah, I remember. Sheila came to Flotsam looking for you.
So Sheila was looking for you when she came to Flotsam.
Mm-hmm. She thought she was still in control and wanted to get rid of me. I'd bet my eyes that she thought I'd lost my mind, or that Iorveth was manipulating me.
And the North descended deeper into chaos.
Exactly. There was just one problem. You. I could have killed you in the Elven ruins. Thing is, you weren't really my enemy.
Yeah, I just really didn't know what was going on. So you failed to slay Henselt, ...
You screwed up with Henselt.
Sabrina's curse tore that down. First off, we got holed up in that hideout in the ravines. Then Sheila showed up and started watching Henselt like he was her own ass. By that time, his death was no longer necessary. Fate had smiled upon us again. I learned of the summit and the efforts to reconstitute the council and conclave. The ideal setting for the mission's grand finale.
Yeah, and Yennefer and the Wild Hunt, ... Okay, I think that was everything. So I suppose we finished this. This was a very informative conversation. It gives me a whole other, like, you know, understanding of everything that's going on and Letho's motivation. It wasn't just to be murderous and to kill people. He didn't even care about the fact that he was doing this to make things easier for the Nilfgaardians. He was doing this to, like, save his Witcher friends and to give them a home again, which is not awful. But anyway, let's finish this.
I'm done talking. Let's finish this.
Want to fight?
Any vodka left in that bottle?
A swig apiece. Here.
It's multiple swigs, Geralt.
The Imperial army is probably crossing the Yaruga as we speak. Pure pandemonium will ensue. The North's finished. Time to go south, where the good life awaits.
You're a fool, Letho. Both you and your Emperor are forgetting one thing. Misfortune brings people together. Very shortly, the North could be united like never before, thanks to you. But that's just not my concern anymore.
I'm not your foe. I never was. Let me walk away and I will. You'll never see me again. Force me to fight, and this time I'll kill you.
So I can fight him and probably have to kill him to solve the game, or I can tell him to just go far away somewhere. I'm kind of leaning towards the second option because learning about his motivations, why he did this, to, like, bring his Witcher friends some safety. He helped us out with the wild hunt with Yennefer. He helped us out with Triss. Like, he saved her from wherever she was in the dungeons or whatnot. So, I don't know. It feels like he didn't kill us multiple times when he had the opportunity. So I feel like I don't think he's a good person. I don't think anybody in The Witcher's a good person. But I don't think he's, like, inherently awfully evil. So I think I'm going to go with it. I just think I am. I'm going to tell him to go somewhere far away and we'll see what happens. Plus, I want to see, like, maybe he might pop up in Witcher 3 then. You never know. It could happen, right? Probably won't, but it could happen.
I've learned all I wanted to know. I can feel the memories coming back. Your death won't change a thing. Go where you will.
Just like that. No threats. No words of wisdom.
Yeah.
You going or not?
Farewell, Geralt.
Huh. Oh, Triss.
The Witcher had traveled far and wide in search of the Kingslayers. Along the way, he had met both the righteous and scoundrels, Bernard Loredo amongst the latter. Loredo sold Flotsam to Kedwin and scattered the local non-humans to the four winds. Flotsam became a military base, its civilian population was resettled. In Aedirn, the Witcher witnessed Saskia the Dragonslayer achieve a great victory. The Pontar Valley, previously Upper Aedirn, became a promised land for outcasts who dared dream of freedom. Even sly old Zoltan Chivay came to believe in this land of bliss. Yet dark times approached for the architects of the New Order. Dark clouds had been gathering over Temeria since Foltest's death. Stripped of its king, the land was like a rich cloth which nobles began to shred. These minor scavengers, however, scurried off in fear when true predators reached out for their prize. The summit at Loch Muin sealed the fate of Foltest's realm, when Radovid of Redania and Henselt of Kedwin divided it between them. A tempest descended on the north, at least partly the work of manipulative mages. It seemed the turmoil in Temeria, Aedirn, and Kedwin would benefit them most. Common folk turned against sorceresses and all magic freaks, witchers included. Castles that had hitherto welcomed mavens of the magic arts now shut their gates to any who sought shelter there. A witch hunt ensued.
That sucks.
It was a time of great uncertainty, of rape accomplished by royal decree. Yet as troubled as the days seemed, we, who had in some way shaped the world's fate, finally received some respite. Zoltan resumed the quest for his beloved's hand, and I laid my head in a lapse of the muses. Who could have known this tempest which had ravaged the north was but a harbinger of darker days, and the preamble to an entirely new tale of Geralt of Rivia.
Hi friends, Editing Jesika here. Before I continue with what I had originally planned on saying, I wanted to give you a quick little cutscene. What? Another post-credit scene? I swear, these games are trying to be so Marvel. Dude, you need to move. Oh no. I'm guessing that's... Oh my gosh, that's gotta be Nilfgaard, right? Wow. The world as we know it nears its end, yet the past remains the key to the future. Oh wow, it's over. That ended so much faster than I thought it was going to. I mean, I figured today was going to be the last day, but I expected chapter 3 to be longer. I don't know why. I just expected it to be. Yeah, it's over. Wow, that was a really good game, though. I really liked it. I really liked it. Definitely a whole lot better than Witcher 1. But yeah, I really liked it. Sorry, I haven't really quite put together my thoughts for the end of the game yet, but I will attempt to. So let me see. I did have a chance to look back at my notes for when I gave my feedback on Witcher 1, so I've jotted down at least the categories I went over, no additional notes, but we'll see how I do while I try to put my thoughts together. So just a reminder, I have not read the books at all, so I have no lore background with that. I have watched the TV show once back in December when it first came out, I think, and I played the games, and that's been it. So that's my background going into Witcher 1 and Witcher 1 going into Witcher 2. So with regards to, I guess, the story of Witcher 2, I really liked it. They still had the whole amnesia cliche going on, which was fine. It worked, I think, better in this game than it did the last one because you started to remember things more, which was part of the story and helped explain certain plot points, which was great. And yeah, that's that. They still had the big major choices where it wasn't clear, like, if one was like the good choice versus the bad choice. For example, you had to pick between Roche, the sneaky, not so righteous spy, versus Iorveth, the quote freedom fighter who is a terrorist to some, probably, no doubt. And then you had to pick between, like, what was it? Saving Saskia or saving Triss. And then at the end, I had to either kill Letho or let him free. And then you had I think the Stennis option as well, with like give him to the mob or put him in jail. So you had lots of those major choices that I don't know how major they were and how many of them will pop up in the future, but I think they were pretty big choices that were not easy to make. And it kind of fed into the whole thing of, you know, nobody's a good person and nobody's a fully bad person. Everybody's gray. Well, I think there are some pretty bad people in the game, but you could see how everybody kind of had their justification on why they did things a certain way, even if they were horrible things. Like Letho's justification of, like, I helped, you know, Nilfgaard kill all of these kings to make the North weak for conquering, but in exchange I was doing it to save my Witcher friends and my Witcher family, and to make them safe again. Even Philippa had her really messed up, like, reasoning for doing things. They wanted to, you know, get the conclave of sorcerer and sorceresses back and get a country of their own that they would rule through Saskia to make themselves more powerful because they lost that. But again, like, they kind of went about it in the worst way possible. So I really like how The Witcher's continuing to have these gray decisions and having gray people, because nobody's perfectly good or perfectly bad. So that's very nice. I do have to say, though, one thing that did help Witcher 2 better to begin with was the voiceover work was, I think, much better. There was still some balancing issues between sound, but there was a whole lot less of it. Geralt still mumbles way too much. But the sound balancing was better. I still feel like it could be even better. Like, the flashbacks are always a good, you know, significantly softer. And I fix it when I'm editing as best I can, but, you know, I feel like that's hopefully something they fix more in Witcher 3. And I'm nitpicking at this point, but to me it's annoying because it's more work I have to do when I edit the videos, but that's on me. But I did really like the flashback, like they're even doing it right now in the credits, the flashback graphic novel look to things, which is so cool. I love how that looks. I hope that shows up in Witcher 3 again. I don't know, but we'll find out. But the story itself, I really liked it. I liked it, I think, better than Witcher 1, I think. They both had their pluses and minuses. I think the one thing that worked in its favor was that the game itself seemed shorter, which is bad because it's shorter and I like long games, but a good thing because I feel like it was able to kind of it wasn't dragged out so much where you could lose interest, because there was a lot of like moving pieces. There was a lot of like manipulation behind the scenes that you didn't really get till like end of chapter 2 or chapter 3, or even now with the epilogue with Letho, where he like basically explained everything to you. And you know, I think that it worked well for the length of this game. I don't know if it was longer, if it would have worked out as well. But anyway, it does seem to me that Witcher 2 focused a lot more on people problems than monster problems, as it were. Like in Witcher 1, I think we had a lot more monster-based quests, you know, and even one that was a major arc with Ada, where she was becoming a monster again. But I don't feel like we had that as much in Witcher 2. Yeah, we had Saskia being a dragon, but I don't feel like that was a monster quest that had like a lot behind it. I also didn't feel like we did as many monster side quests and things. I kind of feel like we lost a little bit of that Witcher kind of lore aspect of it. There was just a lot less like proper monsters versus people monsters. So, you know, I like the story, but I just feel like they could have had a little bit more monster stuff in it, and, you know, it would have been more witchery, I guess. Let's see. And one thing I did have to be really careful about in this game, I think more so than the last game, was that I had to be real careful about what quests I did and the order that I did them in. Because there were several times where I continued working on a quest, and then it was pushing me in a way where I couldn't go back and do certain things, or I couldn't go back and do them as easily. So I had to do a lot of reloading and reworking how the order that I did things. But I mean, that's not the end of the world. That happens in role-playing games. You have to be careful sometimes. And something that I'm so glad that they kept in was all of like the journal entries and the quest entries. Those always help me so much because of explaining everything and the lore behind stuff, because I'm not coming from having read all the books. So I don't always know who all these people are, and my, you know, my retention of things is quite small. Hopefully by Witcher 3, it will have sunk in a lot better. I didn't read as many books this time in the game. It didn't seem to be as needed, and I need to try and do that in the next game a little bit better to get more of the lore, and I think that would have helped me remember things a little bit better in Witcher 2. I finally got there in the end. I feel like it took me a whole lot longer to get there, but I feel like I finally got there in the end. So yeah, I really liked the story in Witcher 2. I guess that's the quick TLDR. So the second thing I want to talk about was, let me see, visuals. Obviously, this was a huge improvement over Witcher 1. And I didn't even play the game on max. The setup kept telling me to do it on like the next level down, which is fine. I think it's like an optimization thing, and I honestly couldn't tell the difference when I was testing it, so I just left it at the recommended level. But the cutscenes, oh my gosh, the cutscenes were amazing, especially that first one. Oh my gosh, with the music and everything to go along with it, it was just amazing. And the cutscenes, even like at the end with Letho and Geralt, you can see like his little stubble, like his little gray stubble. It was so good. And like, this is the second one. The next one's supposed to be even better. So I can't imagine how it's going to be. I did appreciate that they didn't have as many repetitive models of, you know, the people that we interacted with. There were a lot more unique models. There were some repetitive ones, I think, but it wasn't quite as noticeable as the first game, which was nice. And importantly, there was no flippy flopping of clothes and hair and beards and things like that I didn't have to deal with, which was nice. So let's see. The next thing I think was gameplay and combat. And again, so much better than Witcher 1. It was so much better. It was a whole lot less repetitive. I felt like I had to actually do things besides just click buttons on my mouse. I mean, there was still a lot of that, obviously, but I had to dodge and I had to move around quite a bit, and I had the ability to do that. I feel like it was a lot more responsive to my commands, which was nice. Switching the swords was so much better. I just remember that being such a pain in the butt in the first game. I actually used signs in this game, like a lot of them. And I barely used signs in the last game because it didn't feel like there was that much of a need to. And the graphics that went along with using the signs was amazing. I loved having Igni that would just set like 5 people on fire or burn down harpies. It was great. I didn't really like the potion changes. I didn't like that you had to meditate to take a potion. I didn't like that they were so short. Now, I didn't spec into the potion tree at all, so I don't know how that would have affected potions. I didn't even look at it because I was just annoyed about the fact that I had to meditate to take a potion. Now, granted that, like I said, it could have all changed if you went to the potion tree, but that's for me to figure out later. I really liked the sign changes. I liked the sign tree. I liked how you could spec deep into that and just make it super powerful to make using it really fun, because I feel like that's how it should be. Signs should be fun to use, and they were this time, which was awesome. Let's see. So that's like the combat side of it. Let me see, what else do we have in gameplay? Oh, the crafting and the potions and the ingredient system. I feel like it's still a lot. I feel like they really need to streamline it a bit more. I just feel like there were so many recipes that you could get. You could recipes to make something, to use as an ingredient to make something. I mean, I get that, but that to me in a game like this, I feel like is a little bit excessive. I don't have the patience for that when I'm just doing this once. Now, granted, when I go through play it on a harder level, I'll probably need to do all those things, but I feel like they can, again, kind of not get rid of it completely, but streamline it a bit so it's a little bit less like, okay, I spent an hour making one piece of gear. That's, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I feel like it could get to be that way. I have a feeling this is probably just the way that it is and it's here to stay, but we'll see how it is in Witcher 3. I also liked the updated spec trees. I feel like it was a whole lot easier to navigate and to know, like, if I picked this talent, if I put talent points here, I know exactly what I'm gonna get. It was a whole lot better. I don't like the beginning tree. I feel like they could have incorporated that a little bit differently, but I liked that you had a clearly pointed out sign tree, an alchemy tree, a sword tree, and that you didn't have to fully commit to anything. You could kind of pick and choose as you wished. So I did like that. I'm not sure about the mutagens though, and I probably need another playthrough to figure out how best to use those. One thing I did find annoying is that I was kind of just playing around with them at the beginning, like the very beginning of the game, and then I realized that I couldn't change them. At least I couldn't figure out how to change them. Even when I respect at the end of the game, your mutagens were your mutagens. They couldn't change, which, you get better mutagens as the game goes along, so you have to wait till the end to mutate. I don't know. I feel like that could be worked on a little bit, and I'm not really sure how to feel about that yet. And like I said, I think I need a playthrough to kind of get my feet under me better with that one. I do wish respecking was a bit more readily available, because I feel like there could be fights in this game, especially on higher difficulty, where you're going to want more signs, or you're going to want stronger potions, or you're going to want stronger, sword fighting. So I feel like it'd be nice if you could respec throughout the game and it could be available all the time. But again, it's not the end of the world, but it's just something I wish was more readily available. Let's see. What else? Inventory was the same roughly. I wish we had a higher carrier weight or carry weight, but that's just me. I hate having to empty my bags. I like to just keep everything on me. But again, I feel like that could be better handled if they had just less things you just had to pick up. But it is what it is. I know there's mods that can affect that, which is, the lovely thing about mods, but I didn't do that, obviously, and I won't do that probably in Witcher 3 either. So it'll be just something I have to deal with. Looting was definitely better, so much better. It was like combat. Looting in Witcher 1 was just annoying. You had to get into just the right spot. It was still a little finicky in this game, but it was leaps ahead of Witcher 1. So it's not perfect, but it was definitely better. The Witcher searching thing, though, that I feel like should be spammable. And maybe that's just me coming directly off of Dragon Age Inquisition, where I had that spammable ability in Inquisition, and I wanted it in Witcher 1, or Witcher 2, sorry. And you just couldn't. And I feel like there has to be a mod to change that, but I feel like that's something that I hope doesn't get carried over into Witcher 3, and if it does, I hope it's something that's spammable to where you can search for things. And fast travel. Oh my gosh, I wish they had fast travel. I had to cut out so much running back and forth. I'd be way out in the swampy area in Vergen, and I'd have to go back to the city, and it just took so much time. I just hope there's fast travel in Witcher 3. Probably not, knowing my luck, but I hope there is. That's my two biggest complaints with game mechanics, as it were, are the Witcher search button and fast travel. I really want those. I really want those to get better or to be in existence in a better way. But yeah, overall, I really like this game a whole lot better than Witcher 1. And apparently Witcher 3 was like the best of the best of the best of all of them. So I'm really excited to start working on that game. But in closing, as always, my wonderful, amazing viewers, thank you so very much for coming with me on this Witcher 2 journey. I do so appreciate every view, every comment, every like, and even dislike. I'll take it. It's engagement. And I hope you will stick around for Witcher 3, which I am planning on starting tomorrow. So exciting. So again, as always, thank you so very much for watching. Please do keep yourselves safe, and I will see you again tomorrow with another new Witcher video.